Hello and welcome to another edition of Issues with Jide. Here we'll talk about actions and inactions of those who shape our political and national landscape and how these impact us positively or otherwise. I'm Ibrahim Shita. Today on the show, Peter Obi searches for new campaign director general after Okukwe's resignation over conviction. Also on the show, APC, PDP, Labour Party disagree over new ANA poll outcome. And later on the show, Governor Wike sues Atiku campaign office. In the course of the program, we'll take your questions, but first subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop your questions in the comment section. I have joining me via Zoom the maestro himself, Babajide Kolade Studio. It's good to see you, BKO.
Yeah, so good to see you again.
The show, APC, PDP, Labour Party,
we are rocking the Christmas in downtown Akute.
Absolutely. So let's begin with the Doyin Okukwe's issue, the Director General of the Labour Party. You know, following Okukwe's resignation as a result of his conviction, the Labour Party has been kind of thrown into a quandary over who takes over the mantle of leadership for its Director General. Do you feel with Mr. Okukwe out, the Obi Dati campaign has suffered some avoidable blow?
No doubt it's a blow because Okukwe was someone that he trusted so much to the point of making him a surrogate vice presidential candidate, somebody who held the position for him for some time before that he was eventually chosen. So no doubt that was talking about someone that Obi believes so much in, and someone that he felt was fiercely loyal to him, and to the point that he had his trust in making him a surrogate vice presidential candidate. You can only use someone that you can trust for such a position, for such a role, and to lose such a person in the manner in which he lost him is difficult to take. But I believe that the Obidati team has enough committed, bright and loyal people, if not even people more loyal and more morally upright than Doyin Okukwe. So within their ranks, I'm sure they should be able to find someone to fit into that role. Now, of course, all kinds of things will be considered. Ethnicity is one of them. He wants the votes from the Southwest, so I won't be surprised if he looks for someone from the Southwest to take up that role. But you also need someone with experience, and Doyin Okukwe has experience in spades, having worked for Obasanjo for many years, having been one of the key figures in the PDP for years. So he will be looking for someone that is sellable, someone who can sell him, and someone who has experience in these matters, who has been involved in elections in our country, who has seen it all. And no one can doubt Okukwe's experience, both in public service and as a politician. But he had to go, and people say, oh, it looked like a witch hunt. There is nothing like witch hunt there. He had the choice to refund the money that he received Some made refunds. I know individuals who refunded the monies that they got from the former National Security Advisor, but we elected to allow the trial to happen. The trial happened and he's been duly convicted. It's lucky that the judgment was lenient. It's lucky. He could have gone to jail, but the judge listened to the plea of his son and his wife, and the judge agreed to temper justice with mercy. Otherwise, he would have been cooling his heels, maybe at Kuje prisons at this time. So, nothing like a witch hunt. The trial didn't start yesterday. The trial started a long time ago. So, all the rubbish about him being witch hunted and all that is just what it is. Absolute rubbish, nothing to it. The law must take its course. This case will be as Okupe has been made to pay for the offense that he committed. The law is clear. You have to use a banking instrument. You have to pass through the bank if you are to receive money that huge. Anything in excess of 5 million naira, you have to pass through the banks. But in this case, you got as much as 200 million cash. It's crazy. It's only in our country that money that high will pass from hand to hand without going through the banking system. Because when it goes through the banking system, it enables the EFCC to be able to track the money. They'll be able to follow the money. So our politicians know what they are doing when they opt for cash instead of allowing the money to pass through a bank, or instead of using a banking instrument to make such a transaction, to make such a transfer. So Okupe was duly convicted. Whoever says his case is a case of witch hunt doesn't know what he's talking about.
Mikhail, can you hear me?
Yes. Also.
Right, great. So let me quickly take this comment from Tony Goodman, Olatunji rather, who said the way Obedience rollout campaign in defense of Doyin Okupe after he was convicted shows that APC, PDP and Labour Party have a lot of similarities. And then Fabian Akeze says, how can Nigerians celebrate Doyin Okupe's resignation when he committed a criminal offense? How can we always move the post because of the individuals involved? Justice was not served at all. How do you react to that?
It's both right and wrong, in my view. There's nothing to celebrate in a convict resigning his position. That it took him so long to even resign is a shame. On journalist hangout, we were saying on the day of his conviction that by now he should have resigned. He should have resigned instantly. But it took a while. Maybe he was consulting, but why would you consult? It's a very straightforward thing. You've been convicted. Your conviction will tar your party with a bad brush. So you have no choice. You have to leave so that they can find someone else without without any blemish, who will now continue from where you stopped. No one wants to see somebody who is convicted carrying on as the campaign director of a political party that wants to win an election. You know, to isolate your supporters and give them the feeling that you are not different from other parties. And for Obi to be agonizing over what happened, up to the point that it is something that made me really disappointed. It's happened. Get on with the job. Get him out of the way. Find someone else. It's no big deal. Donyo Cooper is not irreplaceable. And talking about what Fabian said, I still believe that our law against money laundering must be stronger. If someone can receive 200 million and then you allow the option of fine, and he paid that money in quick fire time, it means that justice was not really served in the real sense of the word. He's on record now that he's a convict. So you could say, yes, that's justice. But he didn't have to stay in prison even for one day. Before 4:30, he found a way to raise the money, and he left. He walked into freedom. So I think Fabian is right to understand that the law should have been better, and those hailing don't know what they are doing, and there is nothing. He's not a hero. By resigning, he's not a hero. In fact, for committing the offense in the first place, denies him any claim to being a hero. So I want to see a lot more of them, put on trial and jailed. I hope that we can tighten up our anti-corruption laws to deny people the option of fine, to deny people the option of simply returning part of their loot and walking into freedom. That has to stop. Someone like the Accountant General of the Federation now, they've announced to us that he has made some reforms. I won't be surprised if at the end of the day, we get into a kind of negotiation with him that permits him to return some of his loot in exchange for freedom. And that's crazy. It shouldn't be happening. For committing the offense in the first place, you deserve some time in jail, even if you refund part of what you have stolen, because you are never going to return everything. You must have invested some of the money. So simply allowing people to walk into freedom for making some refunds is not what we want to see. And we cannot develop as a country if this kind of abhorrent behavior continues.
Right. Yeah, so Emmanuel Olufade Oluwagbenga says Okupe's case shows that our criminal justice system is flawed. He should have served 20 years at least. Rennie Aben said, even as an obedience, I was disappointed in the way the Labour Party handled his conviction instead of saying the law will take its course. Anyway, those are the comments. Let's move to the other topic for today. The camp of the three leading presidential candidates have disagreed over the ANAP poll, which seeks to predict the outcomes of the presidential election. With the latest poll, BKO, does it really reflect the reality?
To say that that this reflects the reality on ground is difficult to say. How was the sampling done? Any sampling that targets only those who have Android phones will never give us something representative of voter behavior or likely voter behavior. I've said repeatedly that opinion polling is not exact science, and because of that, you are never going to get something accurate. So people have no reason to split hairs over opinion polling. After all, no, most of the big journalists, political journalists, the opinion polls didn't tell us that Donald Trump will become president of the US. He became president of the US, and after the election, the newspaper houses, the TV stations were asking themselves, what did we do wrong? Where did we make a mistake? When you look at this particular one, an opinion poll that gives Atiku only 1% in the Southeast, I will struggle to believe such an opinion poll. Atiku is of the PDP. The PDP still remains the ruling party in most of the states of the Southeast. And to say that the candidate of the PDP will have just 1% of the votes from that region, honestly, I find it ridiculous. And to also give Peter Obi as much as 11% in the Northwest, while giving Kwankwaso 6% or so in the same region, where he comes from, where he commands a lot of respect, a lot of sympathy. I find it difficult to believe. The opinion poll says Obi, if elections were held today, Obi will have 23% of the total votes, while Tinubu will have 13%. That's suggesting that Obi could, in the final analysis, score about 2 times the number of votes that Tinubu will score. I tell you, that's too good to be true. It takes someone overly optimistic in Obi's chances to believe that in this forthcoming election, he could dominate other opponents by such a wide margin. That's like doubling whatever Tinubu comes up with. So I am not surprised that other parties have responded with so much anger to the opinion poll, but there are some positives that we can take away from the opinion poll, and it is that 35% of Nigerians want to vote because of insecurity. 26% want to take part in this election because of the economy. 10% are interested in taking part in this election because of unemployment. 7% want to take part because of poverty alleviation, and 6% consider education as a reason for them to take part in the election. They also, the opinion poll also suggests that the age group 36 to 45 years of age are very, very interested in voting in this election, and they are actually, that's the largest, that will be the largest voting bloc, or in terms of the demographics, that will be the largest age range that will take part in the election. Well, in previous elections, we've seen 40 to 65 do very well. The elderly people always outvote young people in our country, but INEC itself has said in this election, we are likely to see so many people voting for the first time, so many young people taking part in the election. So I think to a very large extent, young people will show up on election day. Just as we saw in Osun, more young people took part in the election in Osun than the governor's election than in previous years. So hopefully we'll see a lot more young people voting in this election. There was another survey conducted in November, and that survey showed that Tinubu was thought behind Obi and Atiku, and that was conducted by Next Year is a multi-competency advisory firm. According to Next Year, Obi scored 40.87%, Atiku a distant second with 26.7%, and Tinubu in third place with 20.47% of the vote. So, according to Next Year, their own survey was conducted primarily in the rural areas, but they left out the home states of the candidates. So, as I said earlier, their own survey showed Obi leading by 40.87%, Atiku a distant second at 26.7%, and Tinubu in third place at 20.47%. So that is it. But I know that a lot of our people would rather wait for the election to take place. They don't believe in these surveys because of the way it is conducted in our country. They do not think that this is something that they should take seriously. And the fact is, there are so many factors that influence elections in our country. The surveys must bear all of that in mind,
Right,
before can have anything close to the truth.
right.
But at least a survey should help us gauge voter behavior
Absolutely.
and voter preferences. If we cannot achieve that through a survey, then the survey has failed. But
All right.
basically, there is every reason for some of these parties to oppose the ANAP Noi pool, because in my view, Atiku deserves more than 1% from the whole of the Southeast.
Absolutely.
It's too miserly, and it looks really ridiculous that a party that has never failed to win election in an area will perform so poorly to the point that it will get only 1% of the votes
Okay, Biko.
in such a region.
Yeah, so Tony Goodman says, I think the poll reflects the reality on ground because Obi represent future Nigerians. And Olatunji Atonda says, the owner of Anapo is a strong supporter of Peter Obi and Labour Party. Fabian Akeze says, most Obedients would not vote on the election day, and Tinubu Atiku know this. Peter Obi should never have left Abga, where he would have been seen as a hero, replacing Ojukwu. But because of our time, let's race on to our very last issue for today. The squabbles between PDP's Governor Wike and Atiku Abubakar came to a head yesterday as the governor sealed the Atiku campaign office in Port Harcourt using a court holder. He claimed that his party's presidential candidate violated his directive against citing of campaign offices in residential areas. How do you react to this latest development, Bikio?
Well, it's one day one drama in River State. I just hope that this whole thing does not degenerate into violence between the contending parties. Wike has shown that he can take this kind of action. Remember, during the COVID lockdown, he demolished an hotel. He demolished an hotel because the hotel violated the executive order that he issued. It's the same executive order that I relied on to have Atiku's campaign office logged. He said they were causing noise pollution, that they were spoken to, but they won't listen and all that. And then he got the courts to lock the place. So the only way Atiku can have that campaign office reopened is also through the courts. So that is the choice that they have. Because Wike did not unilaterally just go and lock the place. He appeared to have planned his action very well, and he chose the route. He chose the legal route to execute the plan. And once is the court that gave you the mandate, or once is the court that gave you the go ahead to lock up that place, you can hardly question what he has done, because he did not unilaterally. He took legal steps. You know, Uke is a politician that I find really intriguing. He looks brash the way he talks, but you still see signs of a politician who is tactical, who plans his actions very well before taking them, because this one came as a surprise to everyone, and it's like taking the battle straight to Atiku. He said Atiku, by appointing his enemies and the enemies of Rivers people into his presidential campaign committee, has shown that he's an enemy of Rivers people. So he's prepared to fight Atiku, prepared to fight Ayu, and he's told us to wait until January, when he will announce who his supporters should vote for. And given the resources that he has at his disposal, Atiku knows that there's a big battle ahead of him. All these stories that we are hearing that the matter will be resolved, are just empty gas, because we see no steps being taken to resolve this problem. The problem appears to be getting worse, because both sides, both contending parties, are reluctant to make peace. So once you dig in the way that they have done, there's no room for rapprochement, there's no room for peace overtures. They appear to have made up their minds that they will not shift ground, and that is what we are seeing. So it looks harsh. What is the law?
Absolutely.
You found a way to use the law, because even churches are sometimes reprimanded for noise pollution and all that. In Lagos, we've seen that happen. You've seen some drinking dens locked up because residents complained that they were finding it difficult to sleep because of the noise that they were generating. I do not know whether indeed the Atiku campaign office was a source of noise pollution in the real sense of the word, but that's what Wike said, that they were polluting, they were constituting a nuisance to people in the residential area where it was cited, and so they had to go.
Okay, so Governor Wike still actually made a lot of comments in his outing today, but then he said by January he would announce his preferred candidate and would also campaign for him from state to state. At this point, BKO, can anyone read what's going on his mind?
It's difficult. It's difficult. Someone told me he will support Peter Obi in the final analysis. That's what someone told me. I don't know. I met him. I tried to find out, but at that point, he was saying, "Look, our matter can still be resolved." So he didn't leave any opening at all for me to be able to read his mind and gauge his next actions. He spoke like somebody who was hopeful that the PDP will still resolve his differences. So I don't know who he intends to support, but someone told me that he could support Peter Obi in the final analysis. But this is the same Peter Obi that he had abused repeatedly after he left the PDP. So I don't know. All that we know is that he's going to restrain his supporters from voting for Atiku. But I do not know who is going to tell them to vote for. The person that is going to tell them to vote for has to be someone that the people already will feel like voting for. So that it doesn't go against the grain. So it will be someone that a good number of his supporters have some level of sympathy for, even if it's not their first choice. So that's the sort of person that he can work with, so that it does not significantly isolate his own support base, because that can be dangerous.
Tony Goodman says the other governors with Atiku are just deceiving him. I don't think he will win without Wike and his group. Nelson, okay, well, I think he said something differently. Fabian Akaise says Wike is standing on principle and he knows what the party has been through. When all these politicians abandoned PDP for APC, no one is loyal as Wike since 1998 to date. Respect the man. Today, Governor Wike said something like he gave Peter Obi some facilities to run his campaign, and that if PDP's Atiku want to also campaign in River State, he will support them. He will give them what they need. In fact, he can even pay for the stadium they want to use, or for whatever the ground that they want to use. So this is a man that is saying that is open to any candidates that is coming to campaign in River State. Is it possible that he might support the APC, or in the end reconcile with the PDP?
I don't see any reconciliation taking place as long as IU continues to hold on to that position. I don't see any reconciliation taking place. He has said that he doesn't have any problem with Atiku. His problem is with IU. So I don't see any reconciliation at this stage. If IU will continue on to the national, and remember what the governor of Akwa Ibom said. He said he felt like fish out of water without his brother governors who are in the G5 on the campaign train. So everyone knows that it's a massive loss to Atiku to not have these governors backing him. You know, they have the resources and everything. So, but since the national chairman will not give up his position, even when he knows that holding on to that position will hurt the party's chances, then Wike and others will be happy to bring Atiku down so that they can point to the fact that the chairman, the national chairman, caused that to happen.
All right, Biko, because of our time, we're actually out of time. We need to call it a wrap. But someone is trying to put you on the spot here, Tony Goodman, saying, Jide, are you articulated, obedient, or tinubulated? I've never heard that word before.
You say what?
Tony Goodman is putting you on the spot. He says, Jide, are you articulated, obedient, or tinubulated?
I like to stay in the middle. There was a post that I made on Twitter, and some people were saying that I'm a closet obedient. You know, I want people to keep guessing. Honestly, all these politicians, I do not fancy them at all. And none of them can say that it has my loyalty 100%. I'm just a journalist doing my work. I'll be happy to stay in the middle. And as I've said repeatedly, I will not work for any politician, even if that's the last job available. To go and work as media aides to a politician, that's not going to happen. Not going to happen. If I wanted to do that, I would have done it a long time ago. I've had offers to work even in the presidency, you know, but I turned down. So that's what it is. I'm neither obedient, nor batified, nor articulated. I'm just a journalist.
A journalist who does his job.
Who enjoys doing his job. I enjoy keeping them guessing.
All right, BKO, that's our show for today's edition of Issues with Jide. Special thanks to you, Baba Jide Kolade Odutoju, for those insightful analyses. As always, we caught you on the road.
Yeah, that happens. I had to just stay somewhere and do it.
All right then. And thanks to you, to our audience, for joining us on every edition. You can see the program again anytime by subscribing to our YouTube channel, TVC News Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button to get the latest information. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at TVC News NG and also at Ibrahim TVC News. On behalf of the rest of the team, I'm Ibrahim Shita. See you again next edition. Bye for now.